Over the river, through the woods. All right, taking some windy roads here for a moment. Good morning, bows and bow ties, and all the triggered single people out there. You know, I had to just be petty. Um, I'm gonna be honest. I stopped reading a whole bunch of comments because I didn't have any cycles this weekend. I was too busy being miserable as a married woman, running around after my kids because I was unhappy. Isn't that what people say? So I just want to talk about something for a second, just because I finally have a chance to circle back. One, any other possible comments that have come through or whatever that I haven't responded to is because I didn't have time, and at that point, I probably just didn't even care at that point because I don't know. It's like, all right. But now that I'm enjoying my ride to work, I figured I'd address this for a few moments. I want to talk about what a straw man is. And I should have looked this up to get the official definition. But basically, a straw man or straw man argument is when you argue a point that was never the argument. Okay? So it's like if you're trying to tell me that why you shouldn't eat hot dogs, but you end up arguing why hot dogs you need. If I say you shouldn't eat hot dogs because X, Y, and Z, but you end up arguing hot dogs are the most I don't know. It's the best sounding name for a food in the world. I mean, that's a really bad example, but I'm going to the cuff, right? So you're like, I'm not arguing whether something it has the best sounding name. I'm giving you a reasons for why you shouldn't eat it, or maybe health reasons why you shouldn't. I don't know, whatever. It's kind of a bad example. The point is, a strongman argument is when someone is arguing something that wasn't the argument or that wasn't the point. So where am I going with this with the triggered singles? Because keep in mind, I'm actually not anti-single. I want to make this clear because if you go back and listen to, I have several videos after that. Go back and listen to the videos. That means you have to listen with intention, not listen to confirm your weirdo bias. What I said was single women are shooting strays at married women. They're making videos about married women. People are arguing, you are this, you are that, it's the men, da da da. I'm like, no, no, no. I did not address all the whys they're making these videos. Okay? What I said was single women are making videos and coming for married women. That was the topic. That's it. It was really that simple. Now, if you want to get into the whys on, this, that, and the other, we can go there. So then it segued into why, married people are all unhappy. And I always giggle now when people come up with these little talking points. Because even these the women, the black women in particular, out here on these apps, a lot of them are psycho, just like the manosphere. Because they have a blind spot. Many of them, like most of us in the United States, I never get that right. I always want to say the United States, in the United States of America, like we have to recognize this thing called data science, right? So you can prove and disprove anything with a statistic. And with data science, you have to be able to understand and perform the analysis. So if you have, let's take a 35, 40-year-old woman, okay, one who's single and one who's married. Usually, somewhere around that time, you've got all kinds of things changing in your body, chemical changes or whatever. Like your body is preparing for menopause, or you might be at least entering perimenopause. Now, this isn't like a medical diagnosis or anything like that, right? So I do not want anyone thinking that I'm some sort of expert or anything, because I know how psycho some of you guys can be. Instead of catching the point, you will go off on a tangent or a straw man argument. And be like, see, and she's out here talking about medical stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh. All right, them down. Now listen, and this isn't a great example, but if you take a 35 or 40-year-old woman who's going through a lot of changes or whatever, ups and downs or whatever, you start, especially maybe around 40, maybe you start evaluating your mortality. You're old enough where you've got people in your family who are, starting to break down. Maybe you're losing loved ones or something like that. You go through a lot of changes, career changes, etc. You enter into a stage or phase where there are things going on. Now, are there exceptions to every rule? Of course, but if I had to talk about every single exception, then we're just proving the normal or whatever. And if you take some data if you run a survey on happiness or something like that, right? And this is probably a bad example, or health, or like, if the question is, you're concerned about your mortality or something like that, are you concerned about your mortality, are you concerned about your health or whatever, and you could find data on single and women who are married, right, where if 50% of the women that were surveyed says something, and I know this is a bad example, but I'm just making a point. If women say, "Oh, I'm really concerned about my mortality," right? And let's say you did a survey, and now you break it down by groups of women, right? And so you go, say it's the married women, and let's say 50% of them are like, "I'm just miserable and concerned about my mortality." You can actually publish something like that that says 50% of married women are unhappy in their mortality or whatever it is, right? Because technically that is true. But what they didn't say is we surveyed a million women, and it was 50% of women across the board were blah, 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 right? But the data or the study that is published will say 50% of married women, blah, blah, blah. So the point I'm making is, they talk about people are married and miserable and all sorts of stuff like that. Like, and I see all these single women making these videos. And yes, there are women who are literally out here saying, don't get married, don't do this, you're gonna be miserable, you don't want to deal with these kids, blah, blah, blah. And what we fail to realize is that when people are living in this thing called life, every single person goes through ups and downs, whether you're single or married. And so what happens is, when people are going through ups and downs, and let me just say, by the way, no, I am not saying that there aren't these other contributors, people who are not fully participant in a marriage, people who don't know their children's doctor's names or whatever it is, right? The point I'm making is, when you take a piece of information, and they'll say, like, married women are so miserable, and single women are so happy, which could very well be true. But instead of listening to what I was saying, the argument wasn't about somebody's happiness. I said single women are taking shots at married women. They're taking shots at married women, and they're making a whole bunch of videos. The single women went on a straw man argument. They're like, you don't understand this because the men are this, and you don't understand, and you are this, and you are that, and there was a bunch of triggering response going on. And some of them, I actually did giggle at, because I was like, wow, I touched a nerve. That's not my argument, though. I didn't get into the whys. I didn't get into the whys. I mean, actually, I did at one point. But the point I was making was, I'm like, this. You don't see, I don't see a whole bunch of married women getting out making videos on why single women are miserable. Now, is there a video out there? I'm sure there is a video out there, but I don't go looking for it. What I do know is, whoever I may have followed before or not followed or whatever it was, somebody is looking that kind of stuff up, and it made it into my feed. I didn't go and wake up one day and say, you know what? Let me look up single women wanting single women commenting on married happiness or whatever. So somebody is looking it up, and somebody, there's a whole bunch of people making videos on it. It's in my feed. So then, after it started showing up in my feed, look, I have no reason to go looking for why single women want to make videos on married women. It's kind of weird. It's kind of creepy. I don't know what the hyper focus is unless you're looking up why married women are want to be married. I don't know. The point is, I didn't go look that up. Y'all are the ones that's out here making these videos and looking it up. So now I need to go look it up and find out what else is going on. But I feel like, actually, no, I don't. I should go look it up to support another video because when I had to go find a clip when you guys were like losing your mind, it was mostly on TikTok. But then I still got bored because I think I had other clips that I never even showed because I think, so like, okay. The point I'm making is I was like, why are y'all coming for married women so much? I'm like, there was a ton of videos on a whole bunch of single women talking about married women, how they're miserable, don't get married. I think I did a video one time where somebody was calling them hospice wives. It doesn't mean it's not true. It was actually kind of funny. The lady was setting it off and I'm like, don't be a hospice wife. And I was like, yo, why y'all doing this? Anyway, back to the straw man argument. The straw man argument is when you're arguing, when someone is arguing something, and then you kind of, I guess, tangentially argue a different point. That's not the point. My point was single women are coming down here making a whole bunch of videos on married women, talking about how miserable everybody was or is or whatever it is, and they are going to town. The whacked out weirdos in my comments are setting it off on all the possible reasons why. And they're arguing why. I'm like, no, the topic was this is what they're doing. The whys are the whys, but I'm like, I'm not arguing that. And quite frankly, I'm sure for many of the reasons I would be in agreement. But that wasn't the argument. Y'all gotta understand the difference. And also, there's this thing called a non sequitur, right? I haven't used that in a long time. There used to be a comic strip called non sequitur. It was kind of funny. It basically, it's when you are, it's like when you're talking about something totally unrelated. For example, if I am talking about hot dogs and I'm like, man, like, what condiments do you like to use on your hot dog? And then you come in and you say things like, I like wearing green tutus when the sun is overhead at noon. You're like, most people are going to look at you like, what? I just want to know about the hot dog condiments. That is non sequitur. It's when you're having a completely, it's not even a related argument. That is what I feel like when I was reading, or what I felt like when I was reading some of those comments last week. Let me tell you something. I wasn't expecting anyone to even care about that video. Because number one, I'm such a small channel. Number two, I don't put enough into it to make it, Number three, I don't typically comment on a ton of salacious content, right? That's what run the channel. I already know I know the types of videos that people want to um see. But most of the time, it's just not really that interesting for me. So I don't make those kind of videos. The only time I make anything that is relatively current is if it's just an interesting thing that I saw that, is funny. But generally speaking, you're not going to see me make a whole lot of videos on the same kind of talking points that you see on YouTube, on Black YouTube. It's so tired. And so anyway, by me commenting on the single versus married or whatever it is, and I hate even saying single versus married, but it's an interesting title. Um, I just it was just like such a random thing that I kept saying. I was like, what? It was coming across my feed. I'm like, why are there so many single women setting it off on married women? I'm like, I've never seen a bunch of people who proclaim to be so happy all the time making videos about married women. And yes, I know the internet is not 100% real, but I'm like, but it is a subset of society, and people who have access to this content. So people say it's not real, and for the most part, it's not, but it kind of sort of is because people are clearly watching it and clearly making the content because somebody's paying attention. And what I'm saying is, I didn't Make that up. Like, you guys are out there literally making the videos. I started seeing it. People want to decenter men and all this other stuff, and I get it. I get it. Makes sense. But there's a lot of people out there now saying we're going to decenter men, and married women are just so miserable. And I'm like, and yet you continue to comment on married women. You're making an outrageous number of videos on them. You cannot tell me how happy you are when you guys are constantly complaining about men and you don't want to be like those married women or anything else. I've never seen a bunch of people be so happy that they are miserable online. If you're happy, show us the happy stuff. If you are happy, remember, being single, talk to me about your state of being. Tell me what you did to reach this place of happiness, real joy. And the joy shouldn't be centered on how much you were able to save your money on something, right? Tell me about an experience. Tell me about how you became more spiritually connected. Tell me about how, you know, I don't know. Tell me about an experience you had that has transformed your life. I don't hear that. Most of the single women, they say something in relation to negativity from a unmarried life. I don't have to wake up with those kids and this, that, and the other. You see how that comes off? I'm like, I'm beginning to think y'all are protesting too much. I'm beginning to think y'all aren't happy at all. I don't care what the data says because I know what I'm seeing. I got eyes and common sense. If you're happy, and I'm being serious, share how you arrived at this state. I don't want to hear about, oh, I'm happy because I didn't have to wake up in the morning, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, you know what? There are women who enjoy waking up. I'm not saying it's me, but there are women who enjoy waking up and doing those things, those acts of service. So are you going to kick them down? There are women who enjoy it. One of my daughter's friends loves the act of cooking. Any opportunity she can cook something or bake something for her church or something like that, she loves it. She wants you to try it, her different creations, stuff like that. She wants to do it. So if you're saying, I am happy because I don't have to wake up in the morning and take care of those kids and this, that, and the other, there are some women who really enjoy it. They do. They love the act of service. Anyway, so this is why I challenge that. When people start saying that, I'm like, don't you even mention married women. And when you're talking about why you're happy, it should married women shouldn't even enter your mouth. You shouldn't have to take a shot at anybody. You shouldn't have to snuff out anybody's survivor lights. You should be able to tell me, you know what? The reason why I'm happy being single is because, I had the opportunity extra responsibilities to go explore um, the ancient lands in Israel or whatever. And it allowed me to connect with God. I mean, I'm just talking like, do you see what I'm saying? I don't believe y'all. Y'all are hyper focused on married women, and it's starting to sound a little stalkerish. It is. So, going back to the triggered comments, y'all need to stop being triggered because I said single women are making a whole bunch of videos on married women. Because you guys are. It doesn't necessarily mean it's all bad. And it doesn't mean that you guys, some of the things that you're saying isn't true. But what I am saying is, it just seems mighty like you're protesting too much about your happiness. I'm just saying it is causing a thing. What's going on out here? Ah, all right. All right, I said what I said. So y'all can be more triggered in these comments because at some point I gotta cut it off and we'll talk about some of the things. I forgot what I was supposed to talk about. I think what did I want to talk about? It was something else. Oh, I know I need to make a follow-up video for my travel channel. You go check out Bo Travels. Uh, go check out Bo Travels. B.O.W. Travels. Um, that is my other channel. I have fun with that channel. That is one of my hobbies. I have like I think 3, 4, 5 more videos I need to upload. I just no, I think I did upload 1 or 2 of them. They're set to pop in whenever they pop in. I've got some more I've got to upload. But anyway, that's where I'm at with it. So for all the triggered people out there, and I know you're gonna set it off. I don't know what you want from me. You're trying to convince me of the whys that single women are making the videos and trying to convince me whether I understand or not. I'm like, oh, I understand perfectly, and I may not agree with all of your points. That's the difference. But the point was, the main topic was, you're making videos and coming from married women. You're arguing reasons why single people are happy. You're arguing why married women are unhappy. And you guys want to go into a whole soliloquy about your friend that may have been unhappy, and how you were in an unhappy relationship that one time back in band camp. I'm like, okay, but it still doesn't address the fact that y'all are making a bunch of videos about married women. And y'all really think that all married women are unhappy, and nobody is examining the data science behind stuff. Okay? All women go through changes or ups and downs. Some of them are going to be married. Okay? And the difference is, married women are in a covenant, single women are not. So what happens is, married women, if you have 2 women, one who's single, one who's not, if you're going through a bad relationship, the single woman cuts the relationship. The married woman oftentimes tries to work it out because they're in a covenant. But everybody goes through it. If that's the case, and that's say, like, well, look, you clearly can't be happy, right? Because you can't stay in your relationship. You're just cutting yours. I keep saying, like, people don't get it. Everybody's going through it. Maybe the environmental reasons for why you are separating from your relationship may be altered. But nevertheless, many people I know who, and actually I can do that, who were single or whatever it was, they go through their whatever it is they go through. One is in a covenant, maybe one may not be in a covenant, so they'll cut it, and then they'll be like, well, I'm so much happier now that I'm not in it. Well, of course, right? The other one stays in it, so they'll be like, all these married women are so happy. I'm like, oh Lord. And I'm like, that's a separate video. That's a separate video. I don't see a bunch of married women getting out here making videos on single women. They don't even have the cycles. But I do see a bunch of single women getting out here, setting it off, being in their feelings about everything. And it's not like I don't agree with half the stuff that they're saying, but I'm like, the reasoning or the reasons behind some of it is, I understand where they're coming from. But it still doesn't take away from the fact that y'all make a whole lot of videos on married women. The very ones that they claim that they don't want to be like, they are making videos. It's giving Schadenfreude. That's what it's giving. Schadenfreude. Because it's like they want to take delight in the demise of somebody's relationship, or they're looking for it to fail so they can say, see, you're just like us. Misery loves company. And I'm not saying every single person is miserable, but misery loves company. All right, I gotta go. Some of y'all just need to be mad by yourself. It's the truth. All right. And I actually have love for the single woman out there, because I actually think so many of them are dope. But get these trigger words out here losing their freaking minds. Have a good one.